Very cool.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in intentionally or just stopping by to check out the podcast. We're UCSD EIM, which stands for Exercise is Medicine.
And so we're going to do some short introductions to start. My name is Brad. I am the president. And I would have to say my favorite exercise is honestly probably the deadlift. I really like deadlifts. Go to Ashley.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I'm your vice president for this org. Very excited to bring it here to UCSD. My favorite exercise would probably have to be the squat.
My name's Alan. I'm going to be the secretary for UCSD EIM, and my favorite exercise are tricep dips.
Hello, I'm Alexandra. You could call me Alex. I'm the treasurer for EIM, and my favorite exercise is single leg squats.
Hi, my name is Rami, and I'm the outreach coordinator for Exercise is Medicine at UCSD. And I have to say, my favorite exercise is the deadlift.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm the publicity officer, and my favorite exercise is V-ups.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine. For this club, I'm the events coordinator, and I think my favorite exercise has to be the good old plank.
All right, so now that we've gotten some introductions out of the way, both our organization and this podcast's purpose is to raise awareness about exercise and nutrition as a means to maintaining health and preventing disease. And that includes the current situation with COVID-19. We also aim to promote professional interest and development with a focus on the various careers and of sports medicine. And just to be clear, the information we talk about today is for educational purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and as such, it is not to be misconstrued as medical advice.
And today, we'll be joined by UCSD Recreation's very own Alexia Cervantes. Woo! Alexia has been working as a recreation director for UCSD for the past few years, but she's also a fitness and yoga instructor as well as a practicing health coach. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So for all the viewers listening in now and later, this first section of the podcast is really going to aim to promote professional interest and development with the focus on the various careers of sports medicine. And I'm sure that we have viewers that want to know the steps that you took to get where you are now.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that. So some people you may or may not know, but I'm actually a UCSD alum. So I started at UCSD and I was a bioengineering major because I thought that, I had wanted to build prosthetics. I thought that was the thing that I wanted to do. And, I was going along in my engineering classes and I just kind of came to a point where I just realized that this was not what I wanted to do. And, I was in my third year of school, and I'm not gonna lie, I was struggling in some of my engineering classes. And back then, this was back in like the late 80s. And back then there were not a lot of women in science. It was like there was maybe about 3 or 4 other women in a lot of my engineering classes. There'd be like 50 people and there was just like a handful of us. And so it was kind of really hard to find community in that group. So I decided that I needed to do something different. I wasn't really sure what that was. And I'm sure some of you could probably, understand that struggle, right? Where you're trying to like figure out what you're doing. So anyways, I was at the time, believe it or not, but at UCSD, we used to have a PE department. And I started taking PE classes. Yeah, I started taking aerobics. I'm sure maybe you've heard probably not your moms, but maybe like your grandmas like talking about aerobics, right? And so I started taking classes and I was good. I was really good at it. I had done a little bit of some athletics in high school, but when I came to UCSD, I was really just focused on my academics. And the she wasn't a professor, but she was one of the faculty members with the PE department. And she asked me to be a teaching assistant. I thought, yeah, I'll be a teaching assistant for PE. I could do that. And that just really changed the trajectory of my life, because I started teaching fitness. I started teaching all different kinds of fitness classes. And I got my first teaching job, and this was with UCSD Recreation, which was a much smaller department back then. It was literally like a handful of people running the department. This was back in 1989. I know you guys are like, wow, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I started teaching my first class in 1989, and I've just been riding the wave ever since. And this was back in the day when, the fitness industry was not anything like it is today. Like, there was maybe a few gyms, but it was literally like an industry at its infancy. And also back then, there was no connection. There was literally no connection between the fitness industry, which was at its infancy, and the medical industry. And it's one of the things that over the course of my lifetime and in my career, I've seen fitness just explode as a business. The whole idea of wellness, like, I predate that whole word. I remember when people started talking about wellness and people had no idea what anybody was talking about, to this place now where there's, organizations like this one, Exercise is Medicine, which is I think is an amazing initiative by the American College of Sports Medicine. I'm a huge advocate. I'm a huge believer. I've been following Exercise is Medicine since its inception. But anyways, so I've just been super grateful to be part of this journey, to be part of like this fitness journey. And it is really like one of my goals in life is to continue to build the bridge between fitness and medicine. Because I know we're going to talk about this more, but it's really the thing that's really hurting our nation. It's hurting all of us, is lifestyle disease. And we'll talk about that more later. But lifestyle disease, all the different lifestyle diseases that you might think of, diabetes, obesity, overweight, hypertension, it's killing us. It's basically killing us. And at the same time that the fitness industry has just gone bananas, at the same time, we have not managed to get a hold of these lifestyle diseases. They're also just running rampant. So it's something that I really aspire to be a part of the solution, why I'm super excited to talk to you all, because hopefully you all want to be a part of the solution too.
Yeah.
But anyways, and so now I'm the director of Fitlife with UCSD Recreation, and my team and I manage all the fitness and wellness programs for UCSD and the weight rooms. And some things that people probably don't understand about the role that I have with UCSD Recreation is that my team also manages a lot of very special employee wellness programs. We manage some injury prevention programs. So Exercise is Medicine. We literally are doing exercise with people to help them from getting injured. So a lot of our employees on campus that do a lot of repetitive movement, they're landscapers or people that work in dining halls and things like that. They have high rates of injury, and they're always going to the occupational medicine offices because they're getting injured. So we are going out, we're meeting them where they work. We're doing movement with them, really working on mobility and stability, so to keep them from getting hurt. So that's one of the programs that we run. We also have a program called Work Strong, which is an exercise prescription, again, and a really more of like a health behavior prescription for employees that have been injured on the job and they're trying to get back to work. So we pair up with them. They meet with our coaches, with our health coaches, our registered dietitian, and our massage therapist. And the whole idea is to like really help them adopt healthier behaviors so that they go back to work and just as a better person. We also manage all of the employee wellness programs for UCSD Health. So for the hospitals, all of our big hospital systems and all of their offices, we do all of the employee wellness programs for those groups. probably things Alex didn't even know that we did. So we have a lot. We do a program called Fitlife Mobile, where we have, instructors that are going all across campus, and they're doing, fitness and yoga and meditation classes at Geisel Library, at School of Medicine. We have partnerships with HDH. We manage the weight rooms, all of the small mini gyms for HDH. So then of course we have our classes and our yoga classes, and we have instructor training programs. We've been training people in yoga and fitness and Pilates for up to almost 20 years. We've been actually certifying people to teach things. So we have a lot going. We have, a registered dietitian, massage therapist. We have a lot. Like, you're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to each other because we all want to make people healthier, and we believe exercise is part of the solution.
Awesome. So we must have come to the right place.
Totally. I am all on.
All right. Well, so I have a question. So did you find that your master's degree served you well in terms of finding a job in health and wellness, or or promoting you further in the field of health and wellness?
Well, I'll tell you, I feel, and I don't want to necessarily blow my horn too much, but I do feel like when I started out with my career, and this was back, I was a UCSD graduate, and everybody thought I'm going to be an engineer and I'm going to do all this great stuff. And I'm like, no, I want to teach fitness. And my parents freaked out. They're like, what? And my boyfriend, who's now my husband, has been my husband for a really long time, he said to me, when are you going to get a real job? Because nobody believed that this was a real thing. But you know what? It's been an amazing career, and I have an amazing, I've had an amazing life because of the things that I've done, and the people that I've had connection with. And I feel very, very rewarded by the work that I've done. And my master's degree, I've been in this business for 30 years. I only got my master's degree last year. I just finished it in August of 2019. So it hasn't even been that long. And my master's degree is in integrative wellness. And I waited for a really, really, really long time to get my master's degree because this is a brand new program. It was only the second year that this particular program, came into being. But it was the perfect one for me, because this is the one thing that I advise all students, or anybody who's, like me, who's working and in the profession. If you're going to go after your graduate degree and you're going to spend money on it, and you could potentially even go into debt for it, make sure that it's exactly what you want and exactly what you want to do. So, when I was thinking about my master's and what would be work for me, I was thinking it would either be some kind of exercise science or an MPH, Master's of Public Health, or it would be maybe something in business, like an MBA or something like that. But none of them really, really spoke to me because they weren't really, I didn't really want to become more of an expert in exercise, and I didn't really want to become, do public health. So the integrative wellness program I think is so cutting edge because it's really about lifestyle. It's about lifestyle medicine. It is about health coaching, which is a real emerging field. And I can certainly dive into what health coaching is in a little bit. And it's, I think that it's really maybe that missing link, because what I had said earlier about, wanting to build that bridge between fitness and medicine, there has to be something in between. If you want to cross that gap, there has to be something there. And this is where I think that health coaching is really what that is. And so I'm really thinking that, I'm not going to be at UCSD for that much longer. I'm going to, retire from UCSD, but I'm not going to be ready to not work anymore. And I really want to do something else to work with people. And I want to be that person to help them become a better version of themselves. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you think your master's in integrative wellness will help you outside of a career and as director of UCSD Rec?
Well, and I should say that actually it will help me later, but it is also helping me now. So one of the things that, the master's has really helped me with is, research. All of you are so much you're so skilled in doing online research. Back in the day, when I was a student at UCSD and I wanted to do research, I had to go down to the biomed library, and we used to have to pull out like paper index, like paper, like they were like magazines, and you had to like look through, they're called the stacks, and you'd have to look through the index, and then you'd have to find, whatever, you'd have to find the, the article or the paper that you were looking for. You have to try to go find the journal and then you would hope that somebody hadn't ripped it out, because if somebody had ripped it out, then you're like out of luck, and so for me, the first thing is just like, getting familiar with things like PubMed, and even like Google Scholar. I had no idea. Yeah. So I learned a lot about that. The second thing that I learned about is I learned about some real interesting things that are changing. Like one of the things that I'm trying to do right now, I've been working really, really hard for the last probably like 8 months, is developing a culinary medicine program that I'm trying to do in partnership with our School of Medicine.
Oh, wow.
So I've been working with our registered dietitian. I have been trying to make connections with different people in our School of Medicine, with faculty, with residents, to create a course, to create it would be a 4-credit course, but it would be an elective. It wouldn't be something required, but to talk about real life nutrition and to talk about cooking, because a lot of, again, those lifestyle diseases that I was talking about earlier, a lot of it stems from really poor nutrition. And unfortunately, most physicians, and all are, some of you are all planning to go to med school. Unfortunately, nutrition is like the least covered topic. It's an elective. And even as an elective, you get the fewest amount of hours out of any elective that you're going to get. But the thing that is going to impact people the most in their day-to-day health, and I hate to say this, maybe even a little bit more than exercise, is their food. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is something that I wouldn't even known about culinary medicine as a trend in medical schools. And again, it's super cutting edge. There's very few medical schools in the United States that are actually offering culinary medicine as an elective. So that's something that I'm working on right now, is to try to use like the resources that we have to try to, because we have a registered dietitian, we're hoping to build a demonstration kitchen at Canyon View when it's remodeled. Yeah. And I know that they are starting to kind of venture in into this space, but they really don't have like that resource of having a kitchen and having, a trained chef, because you actually need to have somebody who's like a chef who can
So with this medical or culinary medicine program, would that be teaching the pre-med or the medical students how to cook, or how to like prescribe nutrition, or both? Or
it's a little, great question, Brett. It's a little bit of both, because it's just kind of like, you can't teach somebody how to ride a bike if you don't know how to ride a bike yourself, really. You know what I mean? Like you can, or just really about any skill, right? Like if you know how to do it yourself, you're going to be able to communicate and describe and verbalize a lot better, like how to actually do something if you know how to do it yourself. So yes, the whole premise of culinary medicine is that it's actually teaching the pre-med students and also residents how to cook. But then as you're doing the cooking, talking to them about the nutrition that goes into the food, like if you're preparing this meal, like a particular meal, like what's on the plate, like what are the nutrients that are on that plate, and what are the health benefits of those nutrients, but then how to make it taste good too, like how to make it delicious, because if it doesn't taste good, nobody's going to eat it.
Yeah, so you're not going to stick to the diet.
Yeah, and some people don't even know how to use a knife. Like they don't know basic cooking skills. Like they don't know how to use a knife. They've never actually, put something in a pan and stirred it around. So it's teaching people some basic cooking skills, but then also giving them a little bit more information about how this nutrition could impact their patients.
Yeah. Do you think something like that could ever come to the undergraduate campus? And this is something that we definitely want to talk about nutrition, because honestly, because of the situation right now, and because a lot of students really don't know how to cook proper meals, or get the proper nutrients and macronutrients and everything. So
right. Well,
that's something that would come to the undergrad campus.
Yeah. So in our proposal for creating culinary medicine, we, we obviously don't want to limit it just to medical school students and medical residents. We actually want to make it available to everybody. I think that our plan was for medical students and for medical residents that it would be part of their curriculum. But if we were to offer, cooking classes, that it would it'd be like a recreation, one of our other recreation programs, that it would be something that, would be optional. But it would be, be available for people if they were interested, but it would be like really almost like the same curriculum. It's just that it wouldn't be for, like, you couldn't get credit for it. I mean, I think you should get credit for it, but, and I don't know, that's a great question, Brad. I mean, we do have our School of Public Health now, and so you never know. I like to, I don't want to put a limit on, I never want to put a limit on anything, so you never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question.
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I know you mentioned about health coaching.
Sure.
And I remember earlier at the beginning, you also mentioned how there are other like new fields within health and in the health and wellness industry. So could you?
Sure. Yeah. So health coaching is like one of those things, like if you had asked somebody maybe, 20 or 30 years ago, or maybe, how can I put that to you this way? Here's something, dietitians. There's like a lot of confusion out there right now about the dietitian, like what is a dietitian and what's a nutritionist, and I kind of want to, I'm actually going to use this opportunity to kind of clear this up on behalf of all of my friends out there who are registered dietitians. So does anybody else? Yeah, some people are smiling. So a registered dietitian is somebody who has gone to school and has studied nutrition science and has actually taken a board exam, a national board exam, to become a dietitian. And then they also have to do a certain number of hours of internship in order for them to have a license. It's a license, just like a medical license. So they have a license to practice dietetics. Whereas somebody who could just say, like, I love keto diets, I'm a nutritionist, and they could go out there and they could bill themselves as a nutritionist and try to like sell. Yeah. So there's a big difference between, there's a big difference. There's, somebody who actually has studied the science of nutrition and can work in a hospital and, can work with medical, professionals, and they can actually like prescribe nutrition,
And those are dietitians.
I'm sorry. And those are the dietitians. Yeah, those are, they have a lot of education, and they have to do continuing education. They have to keep their license up to date, just like a physician. So health coaching is a really, really, really new field. And it's one of those fields where it has gotten to that point where there's been a board that's been created. It's the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching. It's new. It hasn't been around for maybe more than 10 years, but they have created an exam, a national board exam, that's now recognized by the American Medical Association. So that's like a really big deal, because, if you want to get any credibility with physicians, you would have to have a board exam like this that is actually approved by the AMA. Okay. So there's a lot of health coaching like courses out there, but not all health coaching courses out there kind of meet the standard of this National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching. So, so somebody like myself, I've finished my master's. I have not yet sat for the board exam. My plan is to sit for the board exam in October. I'm not going to lie, I've been kind of busy. We had a little problem at RIMAC this fall.
A little
problem at RIMAC this winter. Yeah. So, I've been a little busy, right? But I still, I have a couple of hoops to jump through so that I can sit for that board exam in October. And so, yeah. So, what is a health coach? So, a health coach is somebody that works with folks to guide them, not to direct them, not to give them a prescription, but to really guide them on their own health journey to a better version of themselves. The premise of health coaching is that the person, the individual, already knows what's best for them. They've heard all this. They've heard everything. They've read the news. They've sat in their doctor's offices. They already know. They know that movement is healthy. They know that, a plate with lots of vegetables and lots of fruit is healthy. But they're making the choice not to do those things. They're making the choice to sit on the sofa, and they're making the choice to eat cupcakes and donuts and things like that. So really, it's to work with that person to kind of examine, what's underneath that. It's not really a psychologist, because we're not here to solve their problems, but we're here to, just to be with them, to stand with them side by side, and to, to provide them information when they need it, but also to just to be a coach, to maybe reflect back to them, and maybe, share, or like help them connect what it is that they really want, which is good health, to their values. And that's usually one of those like pivotal points when somebody really starts to make that connection between what it is that they really want and their own intrinsic values, that they actually start to make the commitment to make those changes. And this is the kind of thing that's very, very challenging in our current medical system, to have that happen in the doctor's office. And I know that was actually, I think, one of the questions that had come up about exercise as a prescription. So, I'm sure you all have experienced this, right? When you go and you see your doctor, and you're all pretty young, so and you all, hopefully are very healthy. But for most folks, when they go in and they see their physician, it's maybe they're lucky if they get 15 minutes, right? Lucky. 10 minutes is more like it, unless you have like a really serious condition. And a lot of times now, especially in the medical office, everything is, there's electronic medical records, which means that the physician is like sitting behind a computer, and they're typing notes. They're never really looking at the patient. And, they're typing notes, and they're going to see like, oh yeah, so I see your blood pressure, is 200 over 80, and, your BMI is 30. And yeah, you need to like lose some weight. Do you think you could do that? Okay, great. And then they leave,
not helping them make that jump or connection.
Yeah, because they don't have the time. It's not something that they have, to build. It's not really built into the medical appointment for them to really provide any kind of coaching. So this is where, there's a health model out there. And this is one of the things that I studied in my master's, is different kinds of health models, like healthcare models. And the medical home, I don't know if you all are familiar. Have you heard of that term before, the medical home?
I have not.
Okay. So the medical home is a healthcare model where it puts the patient at the center of the healthcare paradigm, okay? And the patient's in the center, and around the patient are all the different providers that, would touch that patient. So it could be, the physician, the nurse practitioner, the physician assistant. It could be, if there's a physical therapist, a registered dietitian, it could be a health coach. And there's all these different people that are working and doing their work in an integrated way to provide the best care for that patient. And it's a much more, I want to say, for lack of a better word, like democratic model. It kind of, and it takes the physician kind of off of the pedestal a little bit, where it's not like the physician is at the core of the healthcare system, but it's the patient is at the core of the healthcare system. So, because really, I mean, that's really, as I consider myself a health professional, and I'm sure all of you, hopefully at some point, will be health professionals. That it's not about us. It's never about us. It's about the people that we serve, right? It's about the people, that we want. We want them to live better. We want them to live longer, live healthier. So this is the healthcare model where a health coach would be part of that team. It's like a team approach. And that if the physician, is like the technician, the physician goes in and they have the skill and they have the experience to do things like to read exams, to give a physical exam. And then they could say, okay, so here are the things that I see on your chart. And I would like for you to have now, speak with our health coach. And the health coach is not, as, to be honest with you, is just not paid as much as a physician. So a health coach could spend more time. A health coach could spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and not just one session, but a series of sessions, just like any coaching, right? You don't go to a coach you don't go to a coach one and done. You go to a coach over a series of sessions where then you really get to work with that person, you get to know that person, and you get to, have these check-ins with them and see what their progress is like, kind of see if they're like veering off course, and see if you can kind of pull them back, remind them of what their values are, what their goals are. And then they would have that checkup again with the physician. The physician would say, hey, this is great. Like your blood pressure is dropping, your BMI is dropping. This is fantastic. Keep going, but it's a little different model.
So is that something that requires a referral or a prescription from the physician? Or
so, right now there aren't, this is so cutting edge, Brad, that it's not common practice. Yeah, it doesn't really exist except in a few concierge type medical practices. It's like if I don't know if you're familiar with that term either, concierge medicine, but it's kind of like it sounds, it's fancy medicine, Yeah, it's like, it's people that are like PPOs, people that are paying like high premiums to get their medical care, and they're going to get that. But it's not a practice that's, going to be in most healthcare, like most HMO models, because most people in the US belong to HMOs. So it's not a healthcare model that really exists all over. I'm hoping that in my lifetime, it changes. Like, I'm really hoping that in my lifetime that we get to a place where people can get a little bit more attention, the attention that they need and the attention that they deserve. So that's what I hope.
Hopefully one day this becomes something that everybody can take advantage of.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you say that like, oh, go ahead, Ashley, it's okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so, you've had such a vast amount of experiences, talking about like how you've been from college and like how your journey's kind of changed and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just for, everyone watching, to just kind of, who have been inspired by what you have been saying, if you could just kind of give like a piece of professional advice,
Sure.
Either that's really been affected or impactful on you, or just something that, you would offer up to them.
Absolutely. So the first thing is the fact that you all are part of this organization now is huge, because, and I'm looking at everybody on their Zoom screen, and I'm thinking that all of the people that are part of your network now are going to be so important, because, this group of people, some of them are going to go to medical school. Some of them may do a different route. They might do something else, become an allied healthcare professional in some other way, but they're going to be your peers and they're going to be your connections. The one thing that is so important for us all, doesn't matter what stage of your career, is to stay connected, to get involved. So, I've always been involved. I've always been a part of some professional organization, whether it's in fitness and now in the field that I'm in. I'm part of, I am in a different medical college. So I'm part of the medical college. It's called the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which is newer than the American College of Sports Medicine. And I think and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of shared interests, it's very, they're very compatible. I think that they're slightly different because obviously sports medicine, there's a lot of people in sports medicine that are in orthopedics, in those fields. Whereas I think, physicians that are in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine are probably more like, internal medicine docs and, family physicians, pediatricians, and things like that. But they also share a lot of similar values. So networking. So always making sure that you're part of a network, that you're using your networks, you're getting involved with your networks. And I think another piece of advice that I would give you is to, I want to say always, I know this probably sounds cheesy, but just to always represent yourself in the very best way that you can, because you just never know. Like, you just never know who you run into is going to be an important connection for you later, So I don't know, like, just be mindful of the impression that you make on other folks. Cause again, you just never know, you run into somebody at a conference, or you run into somebody at a party, it doesn't really matter, because that person could be an important connection for you later. So it's just really important that you kind of think about, about how you represent yourself or your organization or whatever it is that you do. And the last thing is like, never stop learning. I think that I'm super curious about the world, and I'm super curious about life. And so I think that, that's something, obviously you're all learners, you're all at an amazing institution, go Tritons, so I think that that's something that hopefully that carries with you forever and ever. And also, okay, one more thing, and this will be the last one, practice what you preach. It's the worst thing to see fat physicians. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Fat physicians who smoke, it's like the worst thing ever. So if you all want to be like real allied healthcare professionals, practice what you preach. Move your bodies, nourish your bodies with good food, be, mindful about the things that you think. And that's it. Okay.
Great answer.
Alexia,
Yeah.
ask you about how has the transition been from RIMAC to classes being online and playing the personal wellness program and the playground?
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Great question. Well, the first thing that I have to say about that is cabin fever is real. I'm going to raise my hand because I've experienced cabin fever. Is anybody else out there experiencing a little cabin fever right now? Raise your hand. Yeah, right. Yes, a little bit. Okay. Or boredom. Somebody earlier said boredom, right? A little bit of cabin fever. It's a real thing. And actually, one of the things that I did in preparation for this meeting with you all is that, again, I went to PubMed. I wanted to see like if there was any new research out there about isolation, about loneliness, about depression. And there's nothing newer, COVID is too new. Like COVID is too new for anybody to have done any research about especially how it's impacting people my age, people your age. There's a ton of research out there right now about older adults, because like senior citizens that are in nursing homes and things like that, because a lot of those folks are dealing with a lot of isolation. However, the research is super clear. There is a direct connection between isolation, loneliness, and depression. It's just like it's just a train going in one direction. So I think that it's something that we have to be mindful of. We have to talk about it. Like it's no good to just say like, oh yeah, everything's great all the time. That's not fair. The other thing that I can tell you is that exercise, I'm super happy to share with you. There's also a lot of research out there that shows that exercise is one of the most effective non-medical ways of dealing with depression. Like there again, and I didn't even have to look this up because I wrote papers on this for my master's, is that there's direct relationship between exercise and improvement in mood, and that exercise can be more effective than a lot of the medications that are available on the market right now for depression. So we got to keep moving, even though we're not moving around, I don't even, I miss walking across campus. Like I literally miss walking across campus because that was just a way that I didn't have to think about moving my body, right? I had to go to this meeting, I had to go over there, I had to go over there. I miss walking across campus. So I try to get up and I try to move I am moving every single day. Not that I'm trying, I actually am moving. Sometimes I'm going and I'm getting 2 workouts a day. So the playground, yes, we hustled our butts. I'm not going to lie, team, like we hustled to get that playground up and on our recreation website. As soon as I want to say it was like March 9th or something like that, we made the decision, I think it was March 9th, is when we made the decision that all of our programs for spring quarter were going to be canceled. So as soon as we heard, even before we made that final decision, we're like, okay, we are going to have to create something new. So there was different teams, there was our marketing team. There's the ones that created that really cool like logo. And then there was us in programming. So it was myself and Hector Fletes from Rec Classes. And we put together like all of like the classes that are on Recreation Live. We started videotaping more classes that are on the Recreation Online. And then in some of our other teams, in intramurals and sports clubs, there's a whole esports thing, which, you know, I know it's not exercise, but it is something for folks to do that's recreational. And so we worked really, really hard to get that up as quickly as possible. And I want to say that, you know, it's one of the better ones because I'm in touch with all of my UC, you know, fitness colleagues. So all the other UC fitness directors, we talk regularly. We've been talking like every other week since the pandemic. And I just have to say, ours is the best. I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the UCs, ours is literally the best. People, like the day that it launched, I got calls and email messages from all of my other UC peers saying like, my director is like, why haven't I done this? And they're like, Alexia, you crushed it. And I'm just like, well, it wasn't just me. There's an amazing team, but they were literally kind of jealous. So just saying, like, we did a
So what types of programs can we find on?
Yeah, so there are tons. So there's basically, I want to say there are like 4 main buttons that you can choose from. The first one is online classes, which is, it'll take you to our YouTube channel where we have all kinds of different workouts that we were able to pre-record before we got shut down. There's also Recreation Live, which will take you to a link of live classes. Like every week we have, like, I want to say there's like about 65 different classes, and it ranges from like, there's even drawing classes. So there's sketching, because that's good for our mental, you know, well-being as well, being creative, to, you know, Zumba, to, you know, yoga, all kinds of stuff like that. And then there's a link to our email subscription service called Get Up Tritons, where you get email sent to you with like little quick exercises you could do at home. And then there's a virtual, like a sign up for our newsletter that'll kind of just keep you reminded about all the different things that we have going on. And then I want to say, oh yeah, there's little videos of the day. So if our registered dietitian puts together a video, that's probably going to be on Get Up Tritons. So there's a lot of different little pieces of content. So it's YouTube, it's Zoom, it's, you know, email subscription service. So I feel like there's a lot of different things. And then also Fitlife, our Instagram, I post up usually 2 workouts, like little quick workouts a week that you can do from home. So those are little things that folks can do. And they're like 5 minutes, you know, just 5 minutes of movement. So.
Very cool. And so can anyone take advantage of this program?
Oh yeah, anybody, anybody, not even
UCSD students.
Yeah, anybody. Like we want to put it out there. It's all free. You know, we just want anybody who needs it, anybody who wants to use it right now. I don't care. I was super stoked because I actually teach some of the classes, and Wednesday night I had a student, she's, you know, an international student from Mexico City, and she was like on the class, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, super cool.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, so if you had to recommend one for like, you have to do it, like which class would you recommend us to log into?
Okay, so there's this new format. I don't teach it, but I absolutely love it. I don't know if is anybody familiar with the exercise program called Animal Flow?
No.
Okay, well, check it out on Instagram. This flow lift class is not necessarily like Animal Flow, but it's mostly body weight. And it's kind of like a combination of yoga and animal flow. So it's a lot, for 45 minutes, you are constantly moving, and you are just doing all of these different like mobility movements. It's really, really hard to describe, but it kicks your butt, and I love it.
Can I ask your opinion on calisthenics versus weightlifting?
What is it?
Calisthenics.
Oh, calisthenics. Oh, okay. Well, you know, I mean, and this was, I know, a question that somebody had asked, like, what are things that you can do at home? Well, you know, right now, if you don't have anything to push or pull around, you at least have your body, right? So calisthenics to me is like really just moving your body weight. I like to think of calisthenics as just another way of saying like body weight exercises, you know? And that's all most of us have right now. Like, you know, unless you have dumbbells or plates or barbells at your house, and most people don't, the best that you can do right now is just push and pull your own body around. So, you know, I think that they both serve a good purpose. It really kind of depends on what your goals are, you know? And if your goal is to build muscle mass, well, then you're going to need more resistance. Like you're going to need to have weight for resistance. But if your goal is to be able to move well and to be able to push and pull your own body around, body weight resistance works just as well.
So I've tried home exercise videos before, and I personally can never get into it. Like I can't just, put the video there and do the workout. Do you have any tips or like tricks that you've done yourself or you've heard people tell you on like how to get motivated?
Well, I think that the thing is, first of all, it's just like everything else. You got to find something that you like. And I think that there's so much content out there that you just have to keep looking. Like you have to find the right, it's just like exercise in general. Like I have been doing like a very specific kind of exercise, kind of like more traditional fitness exercise. But that does not rock everybody's world. Some people don't want to do that. Some people, and I'm like, that's fine. Go do martial arts, or go do some swing dancing, or just do something else. Like the most important thing is that people are moving. Like they just need to move. You know what I mean? So I think that the thing is that you just need to keep looking and keep searching for the right person, because it could be a personality thing. Like if you find that person who really reaches through the screen and like can pull you into what it is they're doing, or it's the right exercise. The other thing I think is that sometimes, having a schedule, like I'm a big believer in a little bit of discipline, like you got to get up and you just, you got to schedule it in your day, just like everything else. You got to, you have a class at 2, so you work out at noon, you know what I mean? Or something like you need to make that a priority. And this is like a health behavior thing, but you need to make that a priority, just like everything else you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a schedule is something that's definitely helped me right now.
Right.
Classes and everything.
Yep.
So I know there are also like a few folks that are concerned, now that the gym is closed and, basically you're either left with finding like household items to use as weights or just doing body weight exercises. What can you tell us or kind of educate us about like, muscle loss? Or I know that's a big concern for some people, especially who depend on the gym for that.
Right. Well, it's just like I said, cabin fever is a real thing and atrophy is a real thing too, so muscle atrophy, I'm sure you guys have all studied that and you know something about that. I think that this is one of those things where I don't have a magic answer to say like, oh, just do this thing and you won't atrophy, because that's not the case. Like if you're used to lifting heavy weights and you carry around a certain muscle mass, there's nothing that you can do. And I don't want to, I tell you something that's not true, but there's really nothing that you're going to be able to. So I think it's a little bit more of like a mind shift, it's about resilience and it's about adaptability. One of the reasons why human beings have lived as long as we have on this planet is because we're incredibly adaptable. And I think that this is where, for some folks, this change of environment, all the different environmental changes that we're experiencing right now, it comes down to our mindset, that we may need to try or, adopt some new practices. And so one of the things, like to be honest with you, team, I don't really weightlift very much. And I know you're all saying deadlifts and squats. That's cool. Right on. Because I'm like the cardio junkie. I'm the cardio yoga junkie. Like the two things that I'm super missing right now are actually the one thing, because I could do yoga and Pilates and all of that on my own. I'm missing my spin classes. I've been teaching, indoor cycling for years, and I don't have a bike at home. I don't have an indoor cycle, and I am so missing that endorphin rush. It's driving me kind of crazy. So I'm like, you know what, Alexia, you need to chill, and you need to be grateful that you're healthy, and you need to, go out. You got to start jogging a little bit again. You got to start running a little bit. So I have to change my mindset about that. So yeah, I hate to tell you, Ashley, but there's not, so this is one thing. One of my students, and I was like, oh my gosh, he wanted to do some bench press. So he started bench pressing his bed frame and it dropped on his nose. And I'm thinking like, dude, you're
I
so
saw that on
lucky.
Twitter.
Yeah, I'm like, you're so lucky that you didn't break your nose, man. So, you know, I mean, I think that within reason, yeah, like if you have things around the house that you can use, great, but don't like pick up the sofa and think like, yeah, I'm gonna deadlift the sofa. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know, do 100 squats, you know, you will get tired. It'll be different, but you will get tired. You know what I mean? Put your roommate on your back and do your squats. You know what I mean? But it's just, I think it's a little, we have to think maybe a little bit more about changing our mindset right now than thinking about how are we going to use the furniture for our strength workout.
Yeah. So big takeaway is safety first at this point.
Definitely. Please don't drop furniture on your
Yeah.
face. Not a good idea.
And then I guess, you know, last question, just to kind of wrap things up here as we near the end of this.
Sure.
What's something about like exercise or fitness or just even wellness in general that you wished everyone knew?
How it made you feel? You know, I think that I'm kind of, again, preaching to the choir here when, you know, I mean, at least I know Alex, I know her because I see her all the time and I know she works out. I'm sure you all work out too. But there's nothing that a good workout can't fix, honestly. You know what I mean? I was in a funk, man. I'm not gonna tell you, Wednesday, not gonna lie to y'all, I was tired and I was feeling a little cabin feverish. I did not want to get out of bed. I just wanted to like blow off the whole day. But, you know, I made myself, I had a busy work day. And then Wednesday night, I taught one of the Zoom live classes. It's this class I made called Box and Bar. And I worked out really hard. And at the end of it, I was like, it was like my mind was washed. Like somebody had just washed my mind and I felt better. And it took the funk away. And I think that that's the thing that I really wish that everybody who doesn't move their bodies regularly knew what that felt like. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you all know what I'm talking about.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that feeling that like, man, you just, when a good workout just fixes things, you know, not
stress relief is the big thing for me.
Right. And I think that that would solve a lot of our healthcare problems, to be honest with you. You know, if everybody had that feeling, you know, knew what that felt like, what good quality movement on a regular basis, like how it made you feel, because people aren't going to make decisions necessarily. People make decisions based on how they feel, you know, and if people felt that feeling, you know, that feeling after a workout or after having a good nutritious meal or getting a good night's sleep, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have most of the healthcare problems that we have right now in the US. So that's what I wish.
So big takeaway, if you haven't tried exercise, maybe it's now the time to start.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gotta move your body. Just move your body. I don't care what you do, just move your body.
So one actually final question.
Sure.
How can we view these Fitlife videos and the health and wellness program videos? How do we find this stuff?
Yeah, just go to recreation.ucsd.edu and the first thing that'll pop up, it'll say the recreation playground. And then you'll see like those tabs or those blue buttons there. We did start our student personal wellness program this week, which is a curriculum-based program. It's like one of the only programs that we are still able to offer for the entire quarter. There are some spaces left. And it's so, you know, for you or for any of your friends or colleagues, it's a comprehensive wellness program that covers exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, mindfulness. And it's also a great way to, you know, meet some other students, to, you know, to be a part of a, you know, to have some connection with other folks, because that's such an important thing that we need right now. But yeah, all of that is at recreation.ucsd.edu.
All right, great, perfect.
Is there anything else that, you know, would like to know before we sign off for tonight? And I hope you know, you guys got out of this what you were hoping for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
Absolutely.
it was super informational for us and for hopefully anyone listening or in the future listening. You know, just stay motivated, stay moving, stay exercising, and
yeah, just
there are resources out there that everyone can use, and so stay on top of it.
Absolutely.
You in the long run.
Right. And if anybody, you know, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, I have the best email. I'm just Alexia@ucsd.edu. So yeah, right. So if anybody has any questions for me, any follow-up questions, even about health coaching or the master's program that I did, feel free to reach out to me, because I'd love to share. I love to talk about these topics. I'm obviously very passionate about it. So yeah, I'd love to be a resource if anybody's interested.
All right. Well, thanks for coming and delivering this talk for us, Alexia. And I just wanted to say for anyone watching that even though we are all UCSD students and we talked about a lot of UCSD programs, please, like she said, just try and get moving, right? The important part is to get moving and staying fit. So, try researching to see if your school has any similar programs like that. And with that, yeah, thank you for speaking.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody take care and be well and have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.